Today we finally have a chance to ride this BMW CE 04. This is a motorcycle that about a year ago Tommy did a deep dive for us on at BMW Test Fest. Now we are at BMW Test Fest and I actually have a chance to get on it and ride it. This CE 04 is electric. It's got about an 80-mile range and it can do 75 miles per hour. BMW also says that it will do 0 to 30 miles per hour in 2.6 seconds.
All right, let's get out and ride the CE 04 for the first time, which is really the most exciting thing about this video because it's pretty much the only thing that we haven't had a chance to do with it. And let's see if we can make this green light, which we sure can. I'm a little surprised by how, whoa, traction control setting in for a second there. I'm surprised at how peppy this bike is. I mean, 42 horsepower on paper is not a lot, but I don't know if it's just because this thing is electric, but it definitely feels like more than 42 horsepower. It gives you a really good punch. I think if you wanted to, I think you could send someone flying off the back of this if their grip around you isn't too good. You'd have to make sure that they're holding on well. Now you get a little bit of whine from the electric powertrain, but it's not super loud. And I am wearing those BMW connected glasses right now, so I can see my state of charge, I can see my current speed, I get to see a few different things. Although I will say it's only at certain angles that I can see it, so there's some adjustment that you can make in this, and I haven't spent too much time playing around with the settings, so I'm sure you can get it set up better for you. And there are some different modes here: dynamic, eco, rain, road. So I guess we'll try it out in dynamic. I know eco and rain are obviously going to kill the power a little bit. We'll see how it feels in dynamic. The other funny thing about these scooters, and we're not on a super windy road or anything, but these scooters actually handle surprisingly well, which you wouldn't expect from anything that's shaped like this and anything that has floorboards like these, because it looks like it's just meant to be comfortable, and it definitely is comfortable, but they're fun around corners. Now the riding position on this is a bit more scrunched than I would have expected, and there's kind of a hump in the seat, so even though it's this long, elongated, flat kind of seat, that little hump kind of sets the position of where you sit. So I think if you're really tall, you might feel just a little scrunched on this bike. I mean, even at 5'10", if I sit over the hump, I mean, I'm too far back there, but it almost feels like I want to be somewhere in between, and maybe that's just because of what I'm used to, but I think if you're a really tall rider, you could probably pretty practically ride this sitting on the passenger seat.
Executive scooters like this CE 04 are pretty popular in some countries, but not so much in the US, so it's a pretty unique thing to actually get to walk around here in the States, and the BMW version of it is no less interesting because they've done some crazy stuff with the styling. So, for one, this is pretty common for BMWs, but your high beam is here on the left and your main beam is there on the right, so that everyone who drives cars will think that one of your headlights is burnt out. You've also got some funky asymmetric design elements like these triangles that are just on this side, and then it just says BMW on this side. You've got this super interesting looking windscreen. It's got some exposed hardware, and because it's clear you can see the mounting brackets, so it's just kind of a different design. You've also got some cool pass-throughs in the bodywork here to let air flow around the side of the bike, and it is a pretty decent sized fairing on the front that should block your legs from quite a bit of wind. Those triangles on the front are carried over here onto the floorboards, and then if you look at the seat, it says CE 04, and then across it, diagonally, you've got more of those triangles. And the seat itself even has this floating design where, standing next to it, you really don't see where the seat is mounted up when you're standing at a regular level. So the seat, again, almost looks like it's floating. And it is two-tone, it's gray here at the back, and it says BMW Motorrad. Now coming down along the side, you've got a shock that is again asymmetric. It's pushed off to the side. It has a little bit of a shield around it, but you can see that that is indeed what it is. And then you've got a good sized belt drive here below. Now if we come around to the back of it, kind of interesting because a lot of times you would expect to see your taillight up here at the back of the seat like it is on many motorcycles, but not here. Your lights are down at the end of the fender, and here on the seat it's just some exposed hardware. Again, kind of interesting. We've also got the solid wheel here in the rear, which is a big part of this motorcycle's look and character, and especially when this is combined with some of the graphics packages that you can get on these bikes, it makes for a very industrial looking vehicle, something that has this cool modern sense of function and form that follows. And then here on the seat, you have these lines that are numbered, also kind of interesting. You've got a little storage cubby here, which is a decent size. You could definitely fit some helmets in there, maybe not all, but still really nice storage to have. You've got some passenger pegs as well, because this is plenty long enough of a seat for you to put someone on the back of this. And then you have your charge port right here. So all things that make this a kind of unique bike.
Oh yeah! Woo! You know, from a practicality standpoint, I can see why people ride these a lot, especially in other countries, because it is just a comfortable and relaxing thing to be on. I mean, if I needed to go somewhere, pick up a couple groceries, I'd feel good about the fact that I've got some storage that I can toss this in. I don't have to worry about this getting up to temperature. I don't have to worry about any maintenance really, because it is electric, and it's just a nice thing to get around on. I mean, if these weren't so expensive, I would probably consider getting one myself. But if I have to pick between this and a traditional motorcycle, and I know those are very different vehicles, very different markets, but it's kind of tough at this price range to get that out of your head, because you can get a lot of motorcycle for the money that this costs. I personally rather have that, but that's just me. And that's why I think a vehicle like this isn't really intended for me as a consumer. But if you're looking for an executive scooter, especially one that's got some cool tech and funky design, you'd have a hard time going wrong with one of these.
One thing that this CE04 has that is not lacking in the slightest is technology, and it's all controlled through this scroll wheel and this menu button. So if you look front and center, you'll see a 10.25-inch screen that you can go through and connect a lot of different things to. You can connect your phone so that you have media, the phone itself. You also have navigation through this vehicle, and then you can go in and change some of the vehicle's own settings. There's a lot that you can monitor through this system, which is really nice to have. And actually, something that makes this even more capable is a special set of glasses that you can wear while riding that will actually give you a heads-up display that's connected to this whole system and your phone, and you can get turn-by-turn navigation.
Now, 80 miles of range on this CE04 is a little bit of a kicker. I mean, it's not ideal, but at the same time, I really don't see this so much as a cross-country bike, but more so as a commuter and something that you'd probably cruise more around town, maybe in the city. And so, I mean, realistically, I don't think most people are going to do more than 80 miles in a day of that kind of riding on this kind of vehicle. At least, that's not what I envision. Everyone's use case is different. So, let me know. If you've got a totally different use case for an executive scooter like one of these, then, yeah, drop a comment. I could be totally wrong.
Now here's the kicker about the CE04, because it is expensive. It starts over $12,000, which means if you're looking for just a simple, cheap runabout for riding around town, this is not that. This is a pretty premium machine in this space, so you're not gonna get one at a discount. Over $12,000 can get you into easily a full-size motorcycle, and especially in the US, where we ride bikes as more toys necessarily than things that you use just to get to work or to get to the grocery store, I think most people are probably going to opt for something like a BMW R9T rather than the CE04. But that being said, these are really interesting vehicles, fun to ride, very practical, and I can see why they're popular, especially in a lot of other countries where people use these as their main form of transportation. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll catch you all in the next video.